Hey guys, in this video, if you give me 10 minutes, I'll give you WWE Smackdown live from Houston, Texas. What is going on out there, world? It's your boy Tommy on the spot for Watch Along Wrestling. Hopefully everyone is doing well and staying safe and is as excited as I am for the return of fans to a WWE product for the first time since WrestleMania, and for the first time other than WrestleMania in 17 months. It was crazy to see fans back in the stands for WWE Smackdown last night. I'm going to get into all of it, but if it's your first time visiting the channel, please leave your like and subscribe so you can get all of my updates swarming into your inbox right away the second that these videos go up. And honestly, guys, I'm feeling rejuvenated as a wrestling fan. I'm excited about this. It feels like just yesterday I jumped on here with you guys to talk to you about WWE's return to live touring, that 25-city tour. And ever since then, things have just blown up. The return to MSG, the return to the UK, the returning all over the place. And it seems like live fans and live touring is back. And I'm amped for it. I was one of those fans who really couldn't watch during the pandemic because without fans, it just didn't feel the same. Think about your favorite wrestling moments of all time. Maybe Mick Foley winning the WWE title. Maybe the return of Shane McMahon in 2016. That was mine. Maybe give me your favorite moment. I guarantee you it is amplified because of the pop and the reaction from the crowd. And with that not being there, it made things tough. Don't get me wrong, I still watched, but I was not as involved as I had been in the past. But yesterday, going to work and being there, knowing that SmackDown was waiting when I got home and there'd be the return of fans, I had that kind of pit in my stomach feeling. It was something I haven't had in a while, and I was really excited to get home and watch the show, and I did. And so here we go. We're going to do reviews here. Listen, I know there's a lot of folks who do reviews. I recognize that. I realize that a lot of folks do a really great job with reviews. That said, I also realize that a lot of these reviews can be 30, 40, 50 minutes to an hour. So what I'm going to try to do is something a little different. I want to come on here. I want to chat with you guys about these shows because with my renewed rejuvenation as a fan here, so to speak. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present these reviews in 10 minutes. I'm going to give you the entire show. I'm going to hit you with your highlights, hit you with your matches you have to go out of your way to see, but I'm going to keep it to 10 minutes. I recognize your time is valuable. If you give me 10 minutes, I'm going to give you the entire show and break it down swiftly, but also give you that analysis and kind of some of my favorite parts of it. And hopefully you guys will return in kind with some of your favorite parts, either on Twitter at WatchAlongTommy or down in the comment section below. So let's get right into it. 10 minutes, WWE Smackdown live from Houston, Texas. So of course, fans coming back here for the very first time, and who gets the big first reaction? If you thought it was going to be anybody else other than Vince McMahon, you have not been paying attention. I got a huge chuckle the second I heard No Chance in Hell hit. Vince McMahon comes out, says something briefly to the universe, but you could tell that WWE universe, you could tell the crowd was so excited for him. They were ready to explode for whoever came through the curtain. And Vince McMahon, getting that first pop, comes out, and the crowd was so loud for him, singing his music, No Chance in Hell. They were ready to have a great time, and I got a kick out of it. And I specifically knew there'd be folks rolling their eyes that Vince McMahon gave himself the first big reaction in front of a live crowd. But it is what it is. You got to respect it, I guess, and you got to kind of chuckle. But boy, those fans were screaming the lyrics to No Chance in Hell. Felt like they were excited and real happy to see Vince there. From there, really fun six-man tag to kick things off. Edge, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio against Roman Reigns and the Usos. You could tell Dominic, the first ever live match, I think at WrestleFeatures had mentioned this on Twitter, for Dominic's first ever live wrestling match in front of fans. Insane. You think about that. The guy debuts at SummerSlam. He's inexplicably left off the card when it comes to WrestleMania. So this is his first ever show with fans, and he's teaming not only with his dad, but clearly with somebody who he grew up watching in Edge. And the three of them came out. They did this pyro. Edge gets just an enormous reaction. It's crazy to think that WWE at one point was wondering whether or not this guy was going to be as beloved by the fans as he's ended up being, because the crowd is so into him. If they wanted to change the title on Sunday, I don't necessarily think they will, but they certainly could. Crowd's really into Edge. Three of them come out, they do Edge's pyro together, and you could tell this just meant a lot to Dominic and was a really cool moment for the longtime fans who've been watching for the last 20 years and watching Edge and Mysterio throughout their WWE runs. As for the match itself, really good match. Usos get the win over the Mysterios. No problem there. Sets them up for their match at Money in the Bank, which will be on the kickoff show. That could steal the show, so make sure you check out the kickoff show there. That'll be a fun match between the Usos and the Mysterios. Roman Reigns, he looks like a total badass getting his reaction in front of the live crowd. And then from there, obviously Edge gets the crossface there with that metal bar over Roman's face. I thought this was good because you ended up having one match. You had the Usos look like they were legitimate challengers to the Mysterios, and at the same time, you built up Edge as the challenger for Roman Reigns. So strong opening to SmackDown. From there, another strong piece. Sami Zayn comes out doing his conspiracy gig with the crowd, and in doing so, who returns but the Prince, Finn Balor. It's been a long time since Balor has been on one of the main brands, and I actually love to see it. I know that a lot of people loved his NXT run, and I was one of them. I thought he had a solid run in NXT, but Balor's a main eventer on the main roster, and so I think that he's been missed, and it was great to see Finn Balor back. Crowd was so into this, and really amped up to see Finn back, and now I think the possibilities are endless, and I could really get into a Balor and Sami program down for SummerSlam. I think that would just be awesome. From there, Shotzi and Nox, the former Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox, they came out. They did their whole deal on the little device that she comes out on, and that Shotzi comes out on, rather. They're throwing things in the crowd. The problem, I think, with this match was that it was just in a really bad spot. People were so into Edge and the Edge, Mysterios, Usos, and Roman, and they were so excited for the return of Finn Balor. It felt like something really special for them. So this was kind of a come-down match, which is tough because Nox and Shotzi are brand new. They got another win over Natty and Tamina, so I think they're moving forward with that program down the road, and I think they will eventually give the tag titles to Nox and Shotzi, but it didn't feel like the crowd was as into it as I would have liked for them to be. But again, they needed a bit of a come down. They had all this insanity, all this excitement going on, so they needed a little bit of a come down, and unfortunately, it came at the expense of Nox and Shotzi here. That said, after the match, Zelina and Liv Morgan were on commentary together. They have a big brawl with Tamina and Natty, so nice little setup for the women's Money in the Bank match there. Liv Morgan very much over. She should be the fan favorite going into Sunday. Moving right along, speaking of fan favorites, Bianca Belair, with only her second appearance in front of live fans on the main roster. Obviously, she main events WrestleMania, but other than that, she debuts at the night after WrestleMania 36, so really she's had much of her rise during the pandemic, but boy, the crowd was giving it to her. They were so happy for everything that Bianca Belair did. And I thought she had a good match with Carmella. They actually had the longest match of the night, a little over 10 minutes. And Carmella has always brought it in these bigger matches. I think there's like this misconception that Carmella just isn't a good worker, and I don't think that's the case. I think she's actually really solid in the ring. I think she tries really hard to improve, and I was into this. I thought this was a good match. I thought it was a really good showcase for Bianca Belair, and also they of course showed that Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks got the ESPY for WWE Moment of the Year, so really big times for Bianca Belair. It seems like they've made a star here, so kudos to WWE for doing that and for continuing to build Bianca Belair up. I know they had to do this match here on SmackDown. They wanted to do that, but it's kind of crazy to me that Bianca Belair is not on the show right now for Sunday. Interesting to see if that's going to change. With that being said, moving right along, they did have another match, Cesaro versus Otis. This was a match that was set up backstage. I don't know how to feel about this one because I feel like they did so much to build up Cesaro. You had him work this great program with Seth Rollins, get a big win over him at WrestleMania. It really felt like they were going places with Cesaro, that they were trying to cement him as a main event player, and now he's fighting Otis. But that said, Otis is also on the rise. They see a lot in Otis. Otis is awesome. This Otis, who's with Chad Gable in the Academy, is a badass beast. And so it's tough. It's like you have a guy who seems like maybe he's coming down, another guy who's definitely on the rise. And that being said, though, the crowd did not want to hear anything about Cesaro, maybe not being cemented as a main event player. They loved him as much as they always have. They gave him the usual reaction that they did with the Cesaro section, and I thought this was a lot of fun. Cesaro, it was only about a minute long, but Cesaro gets in there, gets the swing on Gable. It's a DQ finish. He wins the match, but gets the big swing on Chad Gable. And after the match, Otis lays Cesaro out with the Vader Bomb. And so that program will continue here down the road, I assume, but it'll be interesting to see which way they go with it. Cesaro had a little stretch there of having so many wins, and now it seems like he's unfortunately coming back to the pack, but it remains to be seen. Before the main event, Baron Corbin, down on his luck, comes out there. They were doing some deal where Baron Corbin, ever since he lost the King's Crown, is really, really struggling, and he is at his, hard times, baby, have hit Mr. Corbin, and so things have kind of got a little tough for him. He comes out there and announces that he has a GoFundMe account where he's asking for $100,000 from people. I hope WWE doesn't make this live, because if they make this GoFundMe live, I'm telling you, they're going to get that $100,000. People will be buying into this and donating to this fund. And maybe they could just throw it to charity, but I don't think they will. But they do have the website up. If you go to corbinfund.com, you can see that that the page is under construction in potentially giving Baron Corbin some money towards some of his hard times here. Interesting to see where they're going with this for Corbin. They, give Corbin a little bit of credit here. He's been on the main roster now for about 5 years, a little over 5 years, but they continue to try different things with him, whether he was Constable Corbin, King Corbin, Corbin with the long black hair, acting general manager Corbin, so many different things with Corbin that they haven't really hit it yet, I don't think, but they continue to try, and this does feel like, hey, if nothing else, something a little bit different. Main event time, Fatal 4-Way, Kevin Owens, Big E, Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, awesome stuff. They had a little something in the back with Big E teasing a little bit of interaction there with Paul Heyman. Heyman was about to announce that Roman Reigns would keep his title, and that was a spoiler, and then Big E interrupted, kind of mocked Roman Reigns back there. So they're planting the seeds with what I think fans are really into, which is the idea of Big E winning the Money in the Bank and potentially going after Roman Reigns. I think that was a cool little tease there from WWE, and nice to see Big E kind of brought up there to have that segment with Heyman. As for the match itself, I mean, these guys tore it up. People were so into every single thing. You had the awesome entrance with Rick Buggs coming out with the big electric guitar for Shinsuke. Crowd was super into that, singing along, happy to be doing that. And then as for the match itself, I mean, just pure insane action. It crammed into about 10 minutes, maybe a little under 10 minutes. You have Kevin Owens, always a madman, with the splash, or maybe senton off of the ladder through the table. Really strong stuff out of there. And then at the end of the day, Seth Rollins gets the win there. They're building up Seth Rollins and Edge. Rollins earlier in the show had interrupted Edge. So I don't anticipate that Rollins is going to win the match. But if he does win the match, now you got a little excitement that, hey, maybe Roman loses the title to Edge at the show. Regardless, it keeps Rollins strong so that when he does have a big match with Edge down the road, whether it's for the title or not for the title, it still keeps him strong. So even though he may not win Money in the Bank, he's the guy who gets the shine going into the big match. So there you go. A little under 10 minutes, your entire review of SmackDown. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I think the number one thing here is just how much different it felt with fans in the crowd. It felt like something that if you were stumbling over WWE and you were flipping through the channels, you would turn on WWE and say, damn, that looks fun. Like, I'd want to be there. I felt the energy through the crowd, through my television set. And if you were at that show, let me know what you thought about it, because it looked like so much fun. And hopefully if you're there, you're making the trip from Houston to Fort Worth, turning it into a weekend and going over to Money in the Bank. I'll be back a little later with my preview for Money in the Bank in the next video, and I will see you guys there.